Hello and welcome to the Art of Driving presented by Apollo Tyres. In this video, we are going to talk of good driving habits. The best drivers are the smooth drivers. Whether you're on the road or on the racetrack, smoothness is very important. Not only for the stability of the car while it's moving, but also for the durability of the vehicle's components. There are small changes that can help you become a smoother driver. When making any gear change, the shift should be imperceptible from the passenger seat. Start braking slowly and a bit earlier than you normally do, so you don't have to make panic stops. By driving smoothly, the various mechanical parts of the car will not take a hit and be able to work as intended and thus last longer. Moreover, your passengers will enjoy the ride rather than being tossed around. Needless to say, don't floor on the pedals when you don't need to. Every enthusiast feels the temptation to mash down on the throttle every once in a while, and then you have to stomp down on the brakes to slow back down. Neither of these is good for your car. Hard acceleration burns fuel and hard stops cause rapid wear to the brake pads and the rotors. Resist the urge to drive like this. If you can't, know that the repair bills will arrive sooner rather than later. Do floor it sometimes though. It may sound contrary to the previous advice, but your engine does need to be wound up and pushed at times. Wait until it is at the right operating temperatures and once in a while step on the gas for swift acceleration. Getting the engine up in revolution will allow it to work hard and burn some of the carbon deposits that tend to accumulate around the valve train. Doing this occasionally will help prevent the engine head from getting gummed up or covered with carbon deposits. Another good practice to follow is to get a full stop before reversing. While it sounds obvious and simple, it's surprising how many people still throw the gear lever into reverse while the car is still moving. This is the best recipe for an early transmission failure. Make sure to also do so when shifting into park. Shifting in park on an automatic transmission means you are engaging a very small lever to lock a gear. That lever is not designed to stop the car, and having it to do so too often will result in premature failure. Another common mistake that people make is to ride the brakes downhill. Some people will put the gear into neutral and coast down a hill using the brakes for control to save on fuel. This is dangerous as it causes heat to build up in the brake pads and the rotors. It may cause wear and increase the risk that they will overheat. Shift into a lower gear instead. The natural decompression that occurs in the drivetrain will help keep the car at a safe speed. That way, when you do need to hit the brakes, you'll find them more effective. Speaking of brakes, here's something else to note. You should make it a habit to use your parking brake regularly. Your parking brakes will stop working if you don't use them. You see, the parking brake is commonly called as the emergency brake. As the name suggests, it can be used in a situation where your brakes fail. It overrides the hydraulic mechanism normally used to control the brakes and stops you with the cables. The problem with the steel cables, however, is that they often rust and corrode, particularly so after long periods of disuse. The way parking brake cables are designed, if you don't engage the brake ever so often, the corrosion builds up and your brakes will fail. Here's another no-no. Sometimes it's tempting to eke out as many kilometers from a tank of gas as possible. This is something you should never do. Quite often your car's fuel pump is submerged in the fuel tank to keep it cool. So if you're regularly running with a needle at E, you risk speeding up the need for a fuel pump replacement. Paying a little more at the gas station might sting, but it won't hurt nearly as much as needing a new fuel pump. Lastly, lose the weight. Carrying extra weight is as harmful for the car as it is for us. The more it weighs, the more stress it places on the suspension, drivetrain and the brakes, and the more fuel it consumes. It's as simple as that. Do what you can to keep your car as light as possible. Make sure your car is stocked with the essentials you need on a daily basis and store the rest somewhere else. Well, we hope you've learned a few things you never knew before, and it helps you maintain your car better and perfect the art of driving. Keep watching to learn more of these useful tips on driving and your car.